obviously.
Well, but then
Right,
of course
obviously.
we now have to have a strong moral.
No, you don't have to have a view. No, you don't have to have a
So the
view.
new theory is whatever Lola wants, Lola
No,
gets.
no. There's no point in arguing against
This is homesick.
deeply ingrained moral feelings that people have, right? It's just, there's no gain from that, right?
We
No
tried
gain
against
from that.
slavery. It might work.
Pardon?
Yeah. The abolitionists should have just remained quiet.
What the abolitionists did not present arguments, right? And the reason that slavery was abolished in the United States, of course, was because of a war. And it wasn't a war to free slaves; it was a war to maintain the Union. So I don't regard references to slavery as any kind of killer. We have forms of slavery; we just don't call it that, right?
2 jobs.
We have 2 million people in prison. What are they? They're slaves. So, slavery is just, the term for the types of coercive labor that we happen at some particular historical interval to disapprove of.
In Roman
I'm just
times-
suggesting that there's no particular profit in arguing over these moral issues. If we had the kind of society in which people had very strong moral views about keeping promises, then, well, you'd have to yield to that. But since we don't, it seems that we can improve our understanding of contract doctrines by discussing it without any reference to these moral terms. Yes?
Question about how wide this view is. So one take on the separation of the language of morals from the language of law is we actually want 2 languages. So I want to be able to think, oh, this guy who doesn't keep his contractual promises is a bad guy. I want to be able to blame him morally, but I don't want the state to be in the business of doing more than making him compensate by paying expectation damages, because I think there's a special role for the state, and that is guaranteeing efficiency. Meanwhile, in our moral discourse, it might be good to separate out the good types from the bad types. We can do all kinds of things with that, and we have a rich cultural world by separating out good types of people from bad types of people in the same way as we separate out good types of music from bad types of music. So that would be one argument, and then we actually do want to be able to use moral language, but not when we decide what the